Yeah.
And so we see here that, can I find it even? Where is it?
Oh my gosh. Remain in me as I remain in you.
Yes, so those who keep his commandments. We'll go run that again.
Yeah. Where's your pen?
Welcome to the Gospel Truth. I'm Dean.
And I'm Audrey, and this week we are celebrating the 5th Sunday of Easter.
High five. It's still Easter.
Hallelujah.
It's still Easter season. Christ is still risen.
Christ is truly still risen.
Yep.
Yeah. And so this week we want to focus on this theme of remaining in Jesus and how we can remain in Jesus and why we care to. But before we do that, do you want to remind everyone what the Gospel Truth is about?
Of course. So the Gospel Truth is all about Audrey and I sharing our thoughts about the faith, the word, happenings in the church. Hopefully by doing that, we can understand our own faith a little bit better, and maybe you, the viewers, can get something out of it as well. And so we dive into our readings. And so as Audrey mentioned, the theme this week is all about remaining within Jesus. And so I'm going to call out two main passages in the readings that call this, or that point this out. So in a reading from the letter of John, he says, "Those who keep his commandments remain in him and he in them. And the way we know that he remains in us is from the Spirit he gave us," aka the Holy Spirit, right? That's that Holy Spirit that's working within us. That's him remaining in us. And in the gospel, Jesus says, "Whoever remains in me and I in him will bear much fruit, because without me you can do nothing." And he also says, "Anyone who does not remain in me will be thrown out like a branch and wither. And people will gather them and throw them into a fire and they will be burned." Uh-oh. So you should probably remain in Jesus.
Yeah, you
Right?
want to, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, throughout the readings, and specifically the parts we just called out, we're basically given this game plan, right? Like, what it takes to remain in Jesus and be with Jesus. It's there. Maybe it doesn't say this is the game plan, but in black and white, it kind of tells you what it is. And what is it?
Yeah, and it basically just says, keep my commandments.
Yeah.
And we're not going to go over the 10 commandments. We'll go over the two greatest commandments that Jesus gave us. Love God with all your mind, heart, and soul. And love others as yourself.
That's the golden rule, right?
Yeah, it's the golden rule. It's a pretty simple game plan. Love God, love others.
Yeah, it's easy, right? Follow the commandments, but especially those two, and you're solid. Jesus,
Yeah.
You're with Jesus, he's with you, and you get to reap the benefits of being with each other.
And what are those benefits? What's the benefits of being or remaining within Jesus?
Yeah, right? Like, why do we want to remain in Jesus, right? I mean, you know, because he's with us and we're with him, there's just this energy and this vitality within us that allows us to live fulfilling lives. It's something you can't help but feel, and it's something you can't suppress, knowing that Jesus is by your side, right? And that, you incorporate him and you're aware of his presence in your life.
Yeah, and it really, like they said, it's the Holy Spirit working within you. That remaining within really is the power of the Holy Spirit allowing us to do things like be forgiving of others, to do things in service of God. And you just feel good when you do those sorts of things, because that is literally the Holy Spirit working within you and manifesting itself in the actions that you take and the things that you do and the things that you believe.
Yeah, and how good do we feel when we can finally let go of a grudge and forgive someone for having wronged us, or when we donate our time, treasure, and talent to communities and parishes in need. I mean, it feels good. It does. It feels good. It feels good when people receive this energy that you give out, and this energy is powered by the Holy Spirit and Jesus, like remaining, in you.
Yeah, and like I can think of examples from my own life where I don't follow the commandments because, again, I'm a sinner. I'm not perfect. Like there have been times where there are people I just I don't like that person, just that thought or that dislike of that person starts taking up mind space.
Yeah.
And it's just taking away from stuff that matters. Why do we care so much about disliking people, right? Mm-hmm. Why do we care so much about hatred and fear? All of those things take away life. They take us away from the things that really matter, from bringing good into the world.
Yeah.
And that is the antithesis of what Jesus is all about.
Yeah, and right? I mean, to add on to that, just the energy you have that you waste on like these negative feelings. I mean, it's scientifically proven that it takes more muscles in your face to frown and be angry than to smile. Like, it's easy, right? And so, I mean, it's also in the science. It takes a lot more energy. And why do you want to spend the limited energy you have on things like that consume, you know, that's what like the devil wants, right? Like to consume you and for you to always like be this pessimistic person.
Yeah. I mean, I think just to build on what Audrey said, you only have a limited amount of time here, like as a human being.
Yeah.
You might as well live it being happy and doing good rather than wasting your time on the stuff that doesn't matter.
Yeah, and granted, like, I know it's easier said than done. Yes. Like, the game plan is easy. Like, executing is hard. It's hard. Yes. We're not here to preach and say, like, it's easy, just do it. It's really hard. We face these trials and tribulations every day, and that's kind of part of the journey, right? And ultimately, it helps us become better individuals at the end when we can face these challenges head on and meet it with light and positivity and optimism rather than pessimism and darkness.
Yes.
You know, and so ultimately it's a good way to build our character, build our hearts and our minds, while with basically this team of like the Holy Spirit and Jesus behind us, like giving us the strength and power to do so.
And we would bet if you do that, you're gonna feel that vitality. You're gonna feel the Holy Spirit. Just smile more often. Yeah. Be happier, right? Like that'll just happen in your life.
Yeah. And that's what Jesus wants, right? Jesus is all about lifting each other up and giving life. The whole idea is Jesus gives us life, right?
Yeah.
And you know.
And so we had one really cool thought in closing, is that a tree, if we think about the image that Jesus uses, a tree is really nothing without its branches, right? So in the same way that we as the branches receive life when we remain in Jesus, guess what? Jesus lives on when we work as his branches.
Yeah.
Right? Like we continue to give Jesus life today by being his branches today. Because like we give life to the tree too.
Yeah, it's a cyclical thing, right?
It's a cycle.
It's a two-way relationship, right? It's not just to benefit ourselves. Like Jesus is 100% this unconditional. Like he loves us so unconditionally, but like it's only right that in turn that by doing and carrying out what he wants us to, it gives him life too. Mm-hmm. And that's a nice little like payoff for him, I'm sure, to see us live the way he wants, and it gives him life to see us do good.
It's a virtuous cycle. A good cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, so we challenge everyone this week to really reflect on that, you know, reflect on what you can do to remain in Jesus, how you can continue carrying out the commandments so that not only you are continuing being given this like light-filled and beautiful life through Jesus, but also continuing giving him life.
Giving Jesus that life too.
I mean, he gave his life up for us. It's the least we can do, I think.
Yeah.
And don't forget to smile. Like, take the energy that you would maybe use on frowning and use that energy and smile instead. It takes less energy and it feels better.
Yeah.
So with that, I guess we bid you adieu and we'll see you next week.
All right, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. We are not sponsored by Kirin One Day Black, but I highly recommend. If you like that really roasty, toasty flavor of coffee, Kirin Fire One Day Black.
Do the influencer thing, so focus this. Yeah.
Yes.
You have to do it this way.